Good morning to everyone. This is our last lesson in a series of 53 lessons. And I thought I would begin today by providing you with a list of all of the 53 lessons. I have here the date, the title of the lesson, and then just two or three lines of what the basics coming out of each lesson. If you missed any of the lessons, or you wish to go back and review any of the lessons, all you need to do is to go to the Unit 231 website, and you see there southwestvirginiabridgeclubs.org. You go to the learning page, and there under archives, you click on archives. It will take you to a specifics page, and on that page, right now there are 52 lessons, 52 videos. Shortly after today's lesson, this video will go online. So there'll be 53 of them all told on that archives tab page. Under each lesson is the corresponding PDF file, which has the content of each lesson. And what I would recommend, and this is something Connie Lyons says she is going to do, this first 5 pages give you each lesson, as I've said. Use this as your table of contents and take all of your hard copies of your PDF files and put them in your notebook and refer back to them from time to time. There are certain ones that I'm going to recommend that you look over time and time again. When I first started these lessons, back January the 11th, you see there is the first lesson. I tried to think, okay, what best to talk about? It occurred to me that most of you taking the class were already working on your bidding. You were working on the play of the hand, but probably the weakest part of your game was your defense. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start with a series of lessons. And in fact, I did about 2 months of lessons on defense. During a normal game, at least 50% of the hands you play on defense. So I don't think you can emphasize enough the importance of having good defense. So the first several lessons, starting with January the 11th, going all the way down to about the 15th, I talked about opening leads. You've listened to the bidding and you find yourself on opening leads. There are 3 basic types that you can make. The forcing lead, if you have a lot of trumps, if it's a trump suit contract, you have a large number of trumps, or you think your partner does, you get that from the bidding. You want to make what we call a forcing lead a long suit, try to make the declarer start having to use her trumps. And then pretty soon, if you make her force her to trump enough times, she's going to lose control of the hand and you're going to set her. The attacking lead, if you, from the bidding, again, this comes from the bidding, you're on opening lead, you listen to the bidding. If it sounds as if a long suit's coming down in the dummy, one on which a lot of losers will be dumped by the declarer, you want to make what we call an attacking lead, trying to get your tricks set up before they get lost on that long suit. And finally, the passive lead is the one in which you don't make a lead that's going to really help your side, but you want to make a lead that's not going to hurt your side. You don't want to give you a passive lead is one which you make a lead that gives the declarer something she's going to get anyway. You're not giving her a trick. So we looked at those leads, those types of leads, many examples. We looked at the leads you make when it's a no trump contract, leads that you make when it's a suit contract, when to lead a singleton, when not to lead a singleton. When your partner is bid, February the 1st, what do you lead? If there's been a lead directing double made. And of course, all of these had examples of the various things I covered. And then I did 3 lessons starting February the 22nd. I did 3 lessons on ways that you can communicate with each other. Now, you know, in a regular game of bridge, face to face, you cannot talk verbally to your partner. The defense cannot communicate verbally. You cannot say, partner, lead a heart. You can't have any kind of secret code or system that you use to say, lead a heart, lead a spade, lead a diamond. You can't do any of those things. But you do have a way, the defenders do, to communicate with each other legally through the use of 3 very important signals. So we spent a lesson devoted to each. The attitude signal. I've led a card. Do you like what the suit I led? by the cards you play, tells me whether you liked what I led or not. Count signal, usually this is, you give count when the declarer is leading a suit, either from the dummy or from her own hand. You try to tell each other if you have an even number of cards in that suit or an odd number. It's very important when the dummy comes down, if there are no outside entries and you suspect either you've got an ace or a king or your partner's got the ace or a king, you want to give count to each other so you'll know exactly when to take your big trick, to take your winning card, so as to block the declarer from getting to the dummy to cash the rest of the tricks. And the suit preference, March 8th, this one was a sort of a new one to you, but if you're wanting your partner to switch, or if you're wanting to give your information to your partner, you make a suit preference signal. So these were 3 ways that you can communicate with each other. And then finally, I did 2 more lessons on defense. One was March 15th on third hand play. Your partner has opened, has led a card, the dummy comes down, and you are the third person to play to that trick. Many times the trick you play, the cards you play, sets the tone for the entire defense. So people don't pay enough attention to what card they play when they're third hand to play to the first trick. It's a lot more important than you may realize. And then second hand play is when the declarer leads out of her hand or she is led off the dummy and you're the second person to play. So what are the types of hands that you would have there? What are the types of tricks that you would play? And I'm going to skip by preemptive bidding and all for now and some of these other things. But then I came down and did a series on suit contracts, playing suit contracts. This would be whether you had hearts and spades or diamonds or clubs. And we looked at lots of aspects, but I also wanted to talk to the defense that as soon as you make the opening lead and the dummy comes down, the defense needs to not be looking out the window at the snow, but you need to be busily thinking about how you're going to set this hand. And of course, I talked to you about counting your points that you can see in your hand. Once the dummy is on the table, you can count the number of points in the dummy. From the bidding, you try to determine approximately how many points the declarer might have. Add all those points together and subtract from 40, and that'll give you, with probably 1 or 2 points, how many points your partner has. If you think she's got 7 or 8 points, where are they? Is there a possibility we're going to get a trick there? So that's the kind of thing the defenders need to be doing once the contract is over and the opening lead is made and the dummy's there. The defenders need to be making a plan as well as a declarer. Now, the declarer, of course, is going to be playing the hand. And in a suit contract, as soon as the dummy comes down, the declarer needs to make a plan. Normally, she figures out which hand is the master hand. Master hand normally has the most trumps in it, has the length in the trump suit. And you count your losers. You determine all the losers you've got, and then you try to think about ways that you can eliminate some of those losers, enough so that you can make your hand. This is the thing I wanted to impress upon you as a declarer, and I think many of you do not do this. As soon as the opening lead's made and the dummy comes down, I have had partners that have already called for the first trick. A nanosecond could not have passed, so you know good and well that no thought, no planning, no preparation went into how this declarer is going to play this hand. The really top great players, John does this, Doug does this. What they do is they take a moment or two to plan exactly how they're going to play this hand. Nothing is going to happen until you play, till you call for the first card from the dummy. So take a moment or two, plan, even if you kind of know how you're going to play it. Try to give yourself at least 20 to 25 seconds to think about, okay, what happens if the trump suit breaks badly? What's my plan B? But certainly make plan A before you ever call for the first trick from the dummy. Then once you're ready, you call for the first card, and then the battle's on. Defenders are trying to set you, and you're trying to make the contract. So as the master hand, as the person who's the declarer, you're going to try to eliminate your losers. You're going to make a plan of action, and you're going to try to make the hand. From there, I went into no trump contracts, playing no trump contracts. And remember, in no trump contracts, if you're a declarer, you count your winners. You start off in your plan counting your winners. If you're in 3-no trump, you count the cashable winners you have now. That would be your aces and your kings, or maybe ace, king, queen in a suit. That's 3 winners right there. So you count your winners, and then you look around in the hand, the different suits. How can I develop enough tricks to make my contract of 3-no trump, or maybe even try to make an extra trick without jeopardizing my contract? So in the play of no trump, it's different from playing trump suit. Trump suit, you count your losers first, try to figure out ways to eliminate them, either by pitching on a long suit, roughing them in the dummy, or falling back finally on a finesse. But in a no trump contract, you count your winners first, excuse me, and then you try to figure out how can I develop the extra tricks I need to make this hand. So we went through all of that. I did a number of special type topics that you all asked for specifically. So I did a couple of lessons, April 5th and 12th, March the 29th and the 5th, on preemptive bidding, talking to you about how you can compete, either opening like a 2-level or 3-level or 4-level or 5-level contract, or if they've opened the bidding and maybe they've opened a spade and you bid 3 clubs, April the 5th, the preemptive jump over calls. We talked about those bids and when to make them. And, you know, I impressed upon you to be very careful if you're vulnerable and they're not vulnerable. And I'm getting a message, my internet is unstable. So if we go off, just go back to your initial link and click on and we'll come back on. Several people wanted the Smolin Convention. So I covered Smolin Convention and Puppet Stamen in that April 5th lesson. I did a lesson, Doug Althouse wanted a lesson May the 17th. I did the Moisian Trump fit. That's the 4-3 Trump fit, a very tenuous, very precarious, difficult type of situation. Your problem is the defense is going to set out to try to make you start trumping in the hand in which you have 4 trumps. And of course, you want to avoid at all costs not trumping in the suit in the hand that has the 4 trumps. You cannot take a chance of losing control of the hand. So we talked about strategies, the controlled strategy and the scrambled strategy. Scrambled is if you're in a part score, controlled strategy if you're in an actual game in 4-3 trump fit. The in play, we looked at that when you need to throw them in to lead you. If you lead the suit yourself, you're going to have a loser. But if there's some way that you can figure out how to throw them in, throw the defenders in, make them lead the suit, you might actually get a trick. We looked at the cross rough. Cross rough, of course, you never lead trumps. You cash all of your winning tricks first. And then you start trying to rough as many tricks from your hand in the dummy and cards from the hand in the dummy in your hand. You don't ever try to draw trumps. Defensive strategy against that, if you think a cross rough is coming up, you need to lead trumps every time you get in. The dummy reversal, we looked at that. You know, normally the master hand is the hand that has the length in the trump suit. But when you do a dummy reversal, the master hand now becomes the hand that has the short length in the trump suit. We looked just barely at simple squeezes, not very much, safety plays and those types of things. And then I did 2 lessons on 28th of June, 25th of July on the Leaving Saul Convention. Leaving Saul comes into play when your partner's opened a big no trump and there's an intervening bid, an overcall of a suit. And you remember the advice I gave you is if your partner opens no trump, pretend that there has been no intervening bid. What is it? What bid would you make? Would you bid 2 clubs to see if there's a 4-card major? Would you bid 2 diamonds to transfer to hearts, 2 hearts to transfer to spades? All of those bids that you have. But then here is the overcall. Try to think from the Leaving Saul Convention. Try to take from the Leaving Saul Convention. Hope you can spell it by now. That bid which will allow you to convey the same information to your partner when she opened the 1 no trump. It's very useful, but I think you can play the rest of your life and never do Leaving Saul. Then Preston wanted me to do how John knows to do double low-level contracts. I think that's the way you put it, Preston, when you asked me. I don't know how John Markey knows to make those low-level doubles for penalty. And so we looked at all kinds of example situations of when they are in a part score, when to double them, in fact, for penalty. Lou wanted me to do something on slam bidding, so we went through ways you recognize that a slam is in the offing, but most importantly, went through the checkup bids. Those are where you check to see if you're not off two quick key cards. And we looked at a lot of examples. Karen and several wanted me to do the Flannery Convention. The Flannery Convention is where you open two diamonds, has to be alerted. It means specifically that you have at least 5 hearts and at least 4 spades, and you have 11 to 15 high card points. You know that you can't open a heart and rebid 2 spades. If you do that, you're showing at least a 17, 18 point hand, a big hand. So what do you do when you've got 4 spades and you've got 5 hearts? You open 1 heart, but you can't rebid 2 spades because that shows a huge hand. Enters Flannery Convention, that's exactly what was developed to show the 5 hearts, 4 spades, and the 11 to 15 point hand. We also looked at reverse Flannery for those of you who wanted to look at it. I had requests for how do you know how to unblock both defensively and as a declarer. Both of these are very important. It's particularly important for the defense to realize that when your partner leads a suit, if you hold a big card in that suit, such as the ace or king, you need to try to get rid of it as soon as possible so that you don't block the suit for your partner. Once she gets the card set up, if she has no entry to get there and you block the suit, all those little cards that are not ready to cash are not available for your side to cash. Likewise, the declarer needs to be sure she unblocks, particularly at a no trump contract. You always unblock the big cards, the honor cards in the shorthand first, so that when you get to the other hand, you can then cash those tricks. I think probably the most valuable lessons that I gave you is the 12-part series of lessons starting September the 13th and going for 12 straight weeks. This is all of the competitive bidding lessons that I gave you. I would encourage you to go over and over and over again these lessons starting with September the 16th. Keep pounding that information in. This is where I covered the takeout doubles. The opponents have opened the hand. Either you or your partner makes a double. It is a takeout double. You are saying you had opening count, but you can't now bid because the opponent beat you to bidding first. You tell your partner that by making the takeout double. So I went through all the different kinds of bids that your partner can make, the rebids that you would make after your partner does bid. So September the 13th and the 20th, please, please, please go back over all those bids. Then on the 27th of September, October the 4th, I went through negative doubles. This is when your partner has opened the hand. Unlike takeout doubles, defense has opened, they've opened the hand and your partner makes a double. With the negative double, your partner has opened the hand and there's either an overcall or a double. Most of the time it's an overcall and you make a double. It is a negative double. Same partner, I have something here, but I can't make the bid I wanted to make. So those first 4 lessons, takeout doubles and negative doubles, are extremely, extremely important ones. October the 11th, I went through all the different types of doubles. We looked at the back of your convention card. We looked at the balancing double, maximal double, penalty doubles, and we had examples of all of those. We came next, October the 18th, looking at the simple overcall. That's kind of confusing. Simple overcall just simply means bidding your suit at the lowest level you can, either to 1 level or the 2 level. Remember that I said, though, if you overcall to 1 level, the requirements for overcalling to 1 level is probably just 5-card suit, maybe 7 or 8 points, whatever your range is for the simple overcall. I do play 7 to about 17, but you just play, you make sure you know what you and your partner play. So if you overcall to 2 level, the requirements are a little bit different. You need to have an opening hand, or you need to have at least a really good 6-card suit, about at least 11 points. And if you are vulnerable, you need to make sure that any overcall you make, that you do have a really good suit, because your partner's probably going to come off leading it. And if you've got 5 of them to the jack, then you're going to want to hide under the table once she comes back and says to you, why in the world did you make an overcall in such an awful suit? So the simple overcall is just simply raising to simply overcalling at the lowest level, either the 1 level or the 2 level. Competitive bidding, I talked about some of these different situations, a support double and redouble. Your partner has opened the hand and you have bid a new suit. You're the responder, you bid a new suit, and you either get a double or an overcall. If I, the opening bidder, have 3 cards, exactly 3 card support for you, I can make either a double if they've overcalled, shows 3 cards, or if they have doubled your bid, your responder's bid, my partner's bid, I can make a redouble to show that I have 3 card support. And I want you all to go back on your hard copy there, because when I taught it, you did have to alert those bids. Now with the new alerts coming out of Austin and the national tournament at Austin there at Christmas time, they are no longer requiring that you alert support doubles or redoubles. So I am remiss on that you do need to go back and make a correction on your hard copy. We looked at responsive doubles. We looked at the unusual 2 no trump and the sandwich no trump. We looked at the Michaels bids. We looked at, finally, we looked at the preemptive jump overcalls that you can make. See, all of these are ways that you can compete. These 12 lessons give you a way that you can compete for the part score, sacrifice, or however you're going to bid. The 5 level, we talked in detail about that. Most of the time, the 5 level belongs to the opponents. And I think that many of you are saying that once you realize that, you stop trying to bid above them at the 5 level, that you actually were setting them. Whereas if you bid to the 5 level and went down, you were getting a bad board. Now, of course, if you're sacrificing, that's one thing. But if you're just thinking you're going to make this hand and you bid it to 5 level and you go down, you're probably getting a very bad score. Chuck asked that I do something on the minor suits. So on December the 6th, I did do a complete lesson on the 1 club, 1 diamond bids and rebids, the inverted minors, how to handle interference bids. For Max and his son, I think December the 6th would have basic information that certainly in the beginning class, you would be taught on how to open a club, when to open a club or a diamond bid. So I think this particular December the 6th lesson would be one that would be very helpful to you. And then last week, in December, I did the 2 club and the 4 suit. 2 club, is our big bid, and the 4 suit forcing bid, examples of those. I went back and did a few more defensive tips that I wanted to share with you. 27th, right after Christmas, I did game tries and new minor forcing. And then last week, I did the very basics of 2 over bid system, bidding system. I did Jacoby 2 no trump convention. And then I went back and revisited the puppet statement. And today, that brings us to today. And as I have just now presented to you, these are the 53 lessons. Again, I encourage you to make yourself a notebook. This first 5 pages here of today's lesson being your table of contents. All of these videos are on our website. Underneath each video is the PDF file. You click on that, copy yourself, make yourself a copy, and then perhaps make yourself a notebook. I do encourage you to go back and look at the 12 classes on competitive bidding. I do encourage you to go back to the first and look at those opening leads, look at all that information on defense. And then I think you're doing a pretty good job on your declare play, but you might still want to look back at how to play the declare if you're in a suit contract or a no trump contract. And then all these other special topics that you all asked me to do. Some of you, if you never played Liebensaal, that's all right. You can still play a good game of bridge. If you never play Flannery, that's okay. But many of you want these things. And I think that when the hand comes up and you recognize that this is the time to play that, then it puts you a little bit ahead of the game. Now, today, I want to cover a little bit more that I probably should have put with last week's lesson. Last week, I talked to you about the 2 over 1 bidding, and I should have put the 1 no trump forcing or semi-forcing with this particular lesson, but was not able to do so because I was covering other stuff. So I want to finish up here today by looking at the 1 no trump forcing and semi-forcing. It only comes into play if your partner is open to heart or a spade, not a club or a diamond. The forcing no trump, semi-forcing comes into play if your partner has opened a heart or a spade. cornerstone of the 2/1 bidding system is you just about have to play the 1 no trump to show various hands that you as the responder, your partner's the opener. When you make a bid, you are the responder. It is a 1-round force if you bid 1 no trump over your partner's 1 heart or 1 spade. If you're playing, we're going to assume first that you are playing 1 no trump as forcing. A little bit later in the lesson, we're going to look at why it would be best to play it as semi-forcing and why people are now going to not playing it as forcing, but as semi-forcing. But for now, let's play it. It is a 1-round force. So playing 2/1. If you have just 11, you're the responder and have 11, 12 high card points, you cannot make the 2/1 bid, the game forcing bid, because you have to have at least a good 12 or 13 high card points to do that and a 5-card suit. So what do you do with these hands that you've got 11 or 12 points? You make the forcing no trump bid. Of course, you might only have the 6 points too, but maybe you can't make a bid over heart or spade. The only bid you have is the forcing 1 no trump. Note, you can't bid 2 no trump because that's unavailable. Remember, that's the 2 no trump over a heart or spade is your Jacoby 2 no trump convention, showing 4+ trumps and game going hand. So both of those, the 2 no trump and the 2/1 basis, were covered last week. Today, I want to now look at, first of all, playing 1 no trump as forcing. Your partner has opened either a heart or spade. We're going to look at some examples. She's opened a heart, but the same would play if you'd opened a spade. And I want to look at some examples of where you would make the forcing 1 no trump. All right, so your partner's opened a heart. What do you know? You know she has at least 5 hearts, and you know she's got at least 12 high card points. That's the minimum you know when she opens that bid. A heart or a spade, she's got at least 5 of the trump suit, of the suit, and she has at least 12 high card points. Let's look at that first example. This is your hand. You are the responder. You have 7 high card points. How do I know that? For the benefit of Max and his son, for every ace, you count 4 points. For every king, you count 3 points. For every queen, 2 points. And for every jack, 1 point. So in this hand, you have 1 ace, 4 points. You have a queen, which is 2 points. And you have a jack, which is 1 point. You have 7 high card points. If you have as few as 6 high card points, you have enough to make a bid if your partner has opened. Your partner's opened a heart with his hand, and you look at your hand, you have 7 high card points. You only have a doubleton heart. You have those 2 little old spot cards. The spades are listed first, then your hearts, then your diamonds, and then your clubs. You have just 2 hearts. You cannot raise with 7 points. You cannot make a bid of 2 hearts. To raise to 2 hearts, you need to have at least 3 hearts, and you need to have 8 to 10 high card points. And you don't have that. You have just 2 hearts. So you can't raise your partner's 2 hearts. So what are you going to do? You bid 1 no trump. The opener announces, does not say alert, but she announces forcing. That's all she needs to say. So you don't say alert, you say forcing. If the opponents want to know more, let them ask. You don't need to go into great detail. You just simply say forcing, and they'll ask or not. And then the opener will make her rebid. We're going to look in a few minutes at the rebids the opener will remake. All right, let's look at the second hand. In the second hand, counting up your high card points, you have 1 ace is 4, you have 2 kings is another 6, and you have 1 jack, which gives you 11 high card points. You do have a 5-card club suit, and you remember back last week, there are 6 situations in which you have a 2/1 bid. If you open a diamond, your partner makes a 2 club bid, that's a 2/1 bid, game force. If you open a heart and your partner bids either 2 diamonds or 2 clubs, that is the 2/1 game force. If you open a spade and your partner bids 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, or 2 hearts, that is the 2/1 game force. So there are only 6 2/1 bids that can be made. As soon as that bid is made, you know you are in a forcing auction. You're either going to game and possibly exploring slam. You're never going to stop in a part score. Now, while it's true you do have 5 clubs here, you don't have but 11 points. So you cannot bid 2 clubs on this hand. 1 heart, 2 clubs would be game force. You're in game. You don't have the necessary, you're very close, but you're not there. So you make the 1 no trump forcing bid to your partner, and then you go from there, depending on what your partner rebids. And we're going to be looking at some of those, what the rebids of the partner of the opener is in a few minutes. And then this third example, again, you have 11 high card points. You don't have enough to make the 2/1. You notice in example 1 and 2, you didn't have but a doubleton hearts. You had two little ones in the first hand, second hand, you had the Jack X. You could not raise to 2 hearts. But in the third hand, notice you do have 3 hearts. But when your partner opens a heart, you have too much to simply bid 2 hearts. If you bid 2 hearts, you would be promising 3 hearts, but you would be showing 8 to 10 high card points. You have 11 in this hand. So 2 hearts is not your bid. Your first bid is to make the 1 no trump forcing bid. Partner bids, makes her rebid, and now you bid 3 hearts. You are now showing the 3 card limit raise to your partner when you go through that sequence. Okay, let's say your partner's open a heart or spade, and I'm the responder, and I have made the 1 no trump forcing bid. And let's come back and look at the rebids by the opening person. It is a 1 round force. She cannot pass 1 no trump in a forcing no trump. So let's say that your partner has opened a heart. I've bid 1 no trump forcing. What are the possible rebids by the opening bidder? And this is where it becomes very awkward. If she rebids 2 clubs, she may have a hand such as you see there, 4 spades, 5 hearts, 2 diamonds, and 2 clubs. And if you don't play Flannery, you have a really hard time bidding this particular hand. You can't rebid 2 spades. You've opened a heart, your partner's bid a no trump, you can't rebid 2 spades. If you do, you are making what we call a reverse bid. You are showing a huge hand. If you don't have it between, say, 12, 13, 14 points, you certainly can't rebid 2 spades. This is exactly the reason why the Flannery 2 diamond bid, I'll talk about that more in a little bit, was made. So that with a minimum hand, 5 hearts, 4 spades, 11 to 15 high card points, you can open 1 heart. You would open 2 diamonds. But with this hand, if you don't play Flannery and you've got a minimum somewhere between, say, 12, 13, 14 points, you got a real extremely difficult rebid problem. Best you can do maybe is to rebid 2 clubs. If you rebid 2 diamonds, normally you're showing something like that type of shape. What would be best if you would have 4 clubs or 4 diamonds to make your second bid, but sometimes, most of the time, a lot of times you don't have that kind of hand. If you rebid hearts, let's say 1 heart, 1 no trump, and I have rebid 2 hearts, unless I have a really awkward hand, 2 hearts would normally show 6 hearts. I might also have a 4 card side suit, but it might be something like 4 to the 9. And I think, okay, all my points in the heart suit. I have the king, queen, jack, 6 of hearts. I'm going to rebid my hearts rather than saying 2 diamonds with 4 of them to the 9. So you could have that 4 card side suit, but for some reason you've rebid. I think that you as the responder would expect your partner to have 6 hearts by rebidding her heart suit. Let's say that she opened a heart, you bid a no trump, and she does rebid 2 spades. Now, unlike the hand up above, she is showing at least 16 high card points. She has made a reverse bid. For the sake of Max and his son, you have rankings of the suits. The lowest ranking suit is clubs, next in rank is diamonds, next is hearts, and the top dog is spades. So if I open 1 heart and then my second bid is a suit that ranks higher, which spades do, and I rebid 2 spades, I'm showing a huge hand. I have done what we call a reverse. And so if your partner, after she opens a heart, you bid a no trump, and she does bid 2 spades, she's showing a huge hand, at least 5 hearts and 4 spades, and at least 16 to 17 high card points. If she rebids to no trump, now what she's showing is between 18 and 19 high card points, 5 hearts, between 18 and 19 high card points, and she's inviting me as a responder. You've made a 1 bid, you ought to have 5 or 6 points somewhere. Try to go to 3 no trump if you don't have support for my heart suit. All right, the same types of bids come into play if you've opened a spade rather than a heart and the no trump bid comes in. 2 clubs and 2 diamonds, you make the best bid you can. Of course, you're always promising at least 5 spades when you open a spade. If you rebid 2 hearts, I've opened a spade, 1 no trump forcing, I rebid 2 hearts. Now I am showing exactly 5 spades and 4 hearts, or maybe I might have 6 spades, but I'm also promising 4 hearts. I can do this and not be showing a big hand because you see I have not reversed. Spades outranks hearts. So I have opened a spade and my rebid is 2 hearts. This is not a reverse because hearts rank lower than do spades. Whereas if I open a heart and I rebid 2 spades, I am showing the big hand. Yeah, I'm showing the reverse bid. So if I bid 2 hearts, I am promising at least 4 hearts, 5 spades, 4 hearts, probably somewhere between 11 and 12, 15 high card points. If I rebid 2 spades, I'm showing at least 6 spades. I may have a 4 card horrible side suit that I don't want to talk about. If I rebid 2 no trump, I'm showing 18 to 19 high card points with 5 card spade suit. And I'm inviting you, if you have 5 or 6 points minimum, to go to 3 no trump. All right, let's say that your partner now has responded. She's opened a heart or spade and you bid 1 no trump and she's made one of these bids above, either 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, rebid her suit, rebid the other major, or rebid 2 no trump. And you now come back, you are the responder, let's look at your bids. If, whether it's a heart or a spade, you bid a no trump and she bids 2 clubs, she rebids, the opener rebids 2 clubs, you ought to have at least 4 clubs to pass and a really weak hand. If you have 2 of your partner's major, it's probably preferable with only 4 clubs, because remember, your partner might have bid 2 clubs with only 2 clubs in her hand, and you're on a 4-3 or a 3-2 fit, which is an absolute disaster. So if you do happen to have 2 cards, 2 hearts or 2 spades, I would take her, and a weak hand, I would take her back to either 2 hearts or 2 spades. But if you do have length in the club suit, at least 4, you might consider passing. Any new suit you bid at the 2 level shows poor support for your partner's hand. It is non-forcing. It's showing at least 5 cards in the suit that you bid. If you raise her major, she's bid a heart or a spade, you bid a no trump. If you raise her major, she rebids like 2 clubs or whatever if she rebids her major showing 6 of them, either 6 hearts or 6 spades, you can sign off, you can pass, you can raise her suit. You're showing 2 card support. Or you're showing a very bad hand, 3 card support, whatever. If you rebid 2 no trump over the 2 clubs, you're showing 11 or 12 high card points, probably only 2 hearts or 2 spades. You're inviting her to bid 3 no trump if she has a maximum of 14 points. If you raise her club suits to 3 clubs, you ought to have at least 4, maybe 5 of them, and you're showing 11 or 12 high card points. It's non-forcing on your partner. If you raise her major to 3 hearts or 3 spades, you are now showing 1 heart, 1 no trump. She rebids 2 clubs. You now say 3 hearts. You're showing the 3 card limit raise, 11 or 12 high card points. If your partner has rebid 2 diamonds, the bids are similar to the ones above. Let's say your partner rebids a major. She's opened a heart, no trump. She rebids 2 hearts. She's showing at least 6. Let's say she opened a spade. You bid the forcing no trump. She rebids 2 hearts. She's showing 5 spades and at least 4 hearts. If she rebids her spade, she's showing probably 6 spades. So what are your rebids if this in fact is the rebid that she makes? She's opened a major, you've made the no trump bid, and she rebids either her major or she rebids the other one, 2 hearts in the case of opening a spade. So what are your bids? Any new suit you bid shows at least 6 cards and poor support, either for she's just bid hearts and rebid them, or bid spades and rebid them, or if she happens to bid a spade and rebids 2 hearts, it's probably showing either a doubleton or a singleton and not any support for either the hearts or the spades. So if you bid 3 clubs or 3 diamonds, you're showing at least a 6 card suit, poor support for your partner's major, and it is non-forcing on your partner. If you bid 2 no trump, you're showing 11 to 12 high card points. You're inviting your partner to bid little support, poor support for your partner's major. If you raise the major, she's rebid 1 heart, 1 no trump, 2 hearts. If you bid 3 hearts, you're showing probably 10 or 11 and 3 card support, or maybe a poor, if she thinks she's got 6, you're showing at least 2 cards, but 10 or 11 high card points, inviting her to bid 4 in her major. And if you go all the way to 4, you're simply saying, well, we're not interested in slam or anything. We're just going to be in game in the 4 hearts or 4 spades. If your partner makes the reverse bid, the only situation you have is if your partner is open to heart, you make the forcing 1 no trump bid, and she rebids 2 spades. She is showing 16, 17, at least points, a big hand. She's made the reverse bid. That's the only reverse bid. You know, forcing no trump only comes in when you open a heart or spade. So if your partner's open to heart, you make the 1 no trump and she rebids 2 spades. She's got the gigantic hand, a large, good hand. To slow her down, you have, if you recall back the Liebensaal lesson, when a reverse bid is made, one use of Liebensaal is to slow your partner down. Maybe you had 1 bid. Maybe you had a void or a singleton in the heart suit, but you got about 5 points and you want to hopefully she's going to rebid something like 2 clubs or 2 diamonds, and you're going to pass as quickly as you can get the pass card out on the table. But no, she had to go make the reverse bid. So the way you slow her down, because she has visions of a slam in her mind, is you make the 2 no trump bid. It has to be alerted. It forces your partner, the opener, to rebid 3 clubs, and then you're either going to pass or bid 3 diamonds, a drop dead bid or whatever, to tell her that you had a weak hand. The opener, if she has an absolute rock crusher, can bypass. You're telling her you want her to bid 3 clubs, but if she's got a huge hand, almost got game in her hand, she didn't have enough maybe to open the 2 club to band bid or the 2 no trump showing 20 or 21 high card points, she can bypass and not bid 3 clubs if she doesn't want to give you a chance to pass 3 clubs. So I invite you to go back to the July the 5th lesson on Liebensaal, and it will talk to you about the bids if your partner in fact has made a reverse. If you bid 3 clubs or 3 diamonds, 1 heart, 1 no trump, forcing 2 spades, the reverse bid. If you come in bidding 3 clubs or 3 diamonds, you're showing a 6 card suit, little support for the major, either major, and it's non-forcing on your partner. If you bid 3 of her major, either one of those, either the hearts or the spades, you're showing 2 card support, very bad. If you bid 3 no trump, you're showing a balanced hand, little support for either of her majors. Now let's say the final bid, if the opener rebids 2 no trump, she is showing 18 to 19 high card points, balanced hand, no singletons or voids, but at least 5 cards, 5 hearts or 5 spades, and a balanced hand. Something like 1 heart, 1 spade, 1 heart or a spade, you bid the no trump, she rebids 2 no trumps, she's showing 18 to 19 high card points. If you bid any suit, you're showing at least a 6 card suit. It's not as good as rebidding 3 no trump. If you can rebid 3 no trump over the 2 no trump bid, try to do so. 3 of the major, either 3 hearts or 3 spades, it's showing a bad hand. 3 no trump is a sign off if she rebids 2 no trump. 3 no trump by you is a sign off. Okay, so those are your bids. Let's look at a few examples. And remember now, we're talking about where 1 no trump has to be a forcing bid. We're going to look a little bit at the end of this section on when probably it's a good idea to play 1 no trump as being semi-forcing instead of 1 no trump for 1 round bid. All right, let's look at this hand, example 1. You're the opener. You have 12 high card points. 4 for the ace, 6 for the 2 kings, and 1 each for the 2 jacks. So you have 12 high card points. You open 1 heart with this hand. You're not playing Flannery. You open 1 heart. We come to the responder's hand. Responder has 9 high card points, 4 for the ace, 3 for the king, and 1 each for the 2 jacks. Has 9 high card points. Has the doubleton heart. You cannot raise to 2 hearts on this hand because you need to have at least 3. And you do have the necessary 8 to 10 points. You have 9 points. but you don't have the 3 hearts. So you bid the 1 no trump forcing. And here we look at this where you rebid, or rebid is 2 clubs, because she can't rebid 2 spades, because that would show a reverse bid and it would show a gigantic hand. She has 12 points. So the best she can do is to bid 2 clubs. This is why one advantage to playing Flannery, you can bid this type of hand. Flannery, you open 2 diamonds. You open 2 diamonds. It shows exactly 5 hearts, 4 spades, and somewhere between 11 and 15 high card points. And your partner knows immediately, it has to be alerted that you have this type of hand, and she will be able to place your contracts. I would refer you back to the 16th lesson, August, where it will talk about your bids. You can either sign off in 2 hearts or 2 spades, or you can make other types of bids to find out more about whether your partner has 15 or whether she has just 12. Example 2, let's look at it. Example 2, the opener has 6 spades and she has 14 high card points. And you, the responder, have 11. She opens a spade. You have just 2 spades. Same difference here. You cannot raise to 2 spades because you have, first of all, you have 11 high card points. To raise to 2 spades, you would be promising 3 spades and also 8 to 10. You have more than 10. You have 11. You don't have enough to make a 2/1 bid, put it in game force. So you make the forcing no trump. When your partner rebids 2 spades, now you should suspect she's got at least 6 spades. So you make the 3 spade bid, promising at least 2. And then if she has more than 12 points, in this case, she's got 14, she will go all the way to 4 spades in this hand. The third example. You have 12 high card points, you have 5 spades, 4 hearts, 12 high card points, you open 1 spade. The responder has 11, same type of hand. Can't bid 2 spades because you don't have a 3. Can't bid 2 hearts. You can't make a 2/1 bidding. So the best you can do is to bid 1 no trump forcing. The opener does have 4 hearts. She makes the 2 heart rebid. This would promise 5 spades at least and 4 hearts. Always promising 4 hearts if she makes in that sequence. You have 4 hearts. You have 11 high card points. You want to invite her, so you would make the bid of 3 hearts. She, with only 12 high card points, and she's got those 2 worthless doubletons. You're looking at the queen X of diamonds and those 2 little spot cards in the club suit. You would want to pass. You have no reason to think that this hand is going to make game. So you would pass out at 3 hearts. Example 4. Partner has 13 high card points, opens a spade. You have 8 high card points. You have a singleton spade. You don't want to pass. You know you can make a bid with you at least 6 points, but you can't bid 2 diamonds because that's the 2/1 game force. So you make the 1 no trump bid. She bids 2 clubs, and now you bid 2 diamonds. That is a drop dead bid. It is telling partner that you have no support for her spades, but that you do have a 6-card diamond suit and that you have a very weak hand. And she's probably going to pass. And I think in this case she would, because she just has 13 high card points. Now, what happens to the 1 no trump forcing bid if there's competition? Your partner's opened a heart or a spade, and it's either doubled or overcalled. Now, if you bid a 1 no trump, it is not the forcing no trump if there had not been an intervening bid. Now 1 no trump becomes 8 to 10. If they've overcalled a suit, it's showing at least 1 stopper, 1.5 stoppers in the suit bid. Or if it's doubled, remember you have other kinds of bids you can make. You can redouble, show 10 plus high card points, but little support for your partner's heart or spade. And you remember from one of the lessons, the October the 4th lesson, if you have support for your partner's heart or spade, you have 2 bids that you can make. Those of you who use Bromed, you can use those bids. Those of you who use Jordan 2 no trump, you bid 2 no trump over top of the double. It shows at least 4 hearts, 4 spades, and at least 10 high card points. So I refer you back to those lessons if they have doubled. If they've made an overcall, your 1 no trump would simply mean that you have a stopper in their suit and little support for your partner. let's say your partner's opened a heart or spade, next hand passes, and you make the one no trump forcing bid, and they double. Now the force is off. Your partner can pass with a weak hand with just a basic opening, or if she's got extra, she can redouble. If she's got like 16 or 17 high card points, she can redouble to show she has extra. But if your one no trump forcing bid is doubled, as you see in this particular situation, then the one no trump force is off on the opener. She can pass with a minimum opening hand patterned out as you see there, or she can redouble to show she's got 17 or 18 points. All right, so you see that there are some problems always playing one no trump, one heart, one spade, one no trump being a forcing bid. With the problems that sometimes encountered by the opener in her rebid, people are now playing one no trump as semi-forcing rather than always being forcing. And I think that this hand really illustrates that. Partner has opened a spade on this hand. There's 12 high card points, opens a spade. And you have 9 high card points. You have a double in spade. So you make the one no trump bid. In the hand I showed above, she had to bid either 2 clubs or 2 diamonds on an awful fragment. She can't rebid the spades. And if she rebids 2 clubs and you pass, you're playing in a 3-3 club fit, which is an absolute disaster. So when you have as opener, if you're playing one no trump being semi-forcing rather than always forcing for one round, the opener has the luxury of passing with a hand like the one you see there. And that's very advantageous and rather playing on a 3-3 club fit or even a 3-2 club fit. Now, in my concluding part, I want to take all the information I've taught you in these lessons and show you a hand, and we want to look at it. You are the opener, and this is your hand. What would you bid with this hand? You have 13 high card points. You have a 6 card spade suit. Even if you only had a 5 card spade suit, you would open 1 spade with this hand. East west is passing throughout. You open a spade, west passes. Your partner rolls in there with the 2 heart bid. She's made the 2/1 game force. You should expect her to have at least 5 hearts, and she's got at least 12 high card points to make that bid. You are in a game forcing auction. And you look at your hand, you know she's got 5 hearts, but you don't have a 2. So you really cannot raise her hearts at this point unless she rebids them. The best bid you can make, remember you cannot pass. You're in a game forcing auction, perhaps going to slam, you don't know. So you rebid 2 spades. That's the best bid you can make. It promises probably 6 spades if no other bid will work. Your partner's made the 2/1, you game force, so you rebid 2 spades. Let's say at this point now, North rolls in there with a 3 club bid. Now what she's showing is she has 5 hearts and she has a 4 card or maybe 5 card club suit on the side. So if she were 5-5 in hearts and clubs, she would bid the hearts first and then she would bid the clubs second. So she is showing a second suit in clubs. And you're looking at your hand. You don't really have support for hearts. You don't really have support for the clubs, but you do have a diamond stopper. So at this point, you bid 3 no trump, and your partner places the final contract in 6 no trump. She just flat out bids 6 no trump. So the auction has gone 1 spade, 2 hearts, 2 spades, 3 clubs, 3 no trump, 6 no trump. All right, now I'm taking you away from the south hand. You are now west, and you're going to be making the opening lead. You have listened to the bidding. The south hand has opened a spade and rebid spades. The last thing you would want to lead is the spade. Hopefully, she might have the ace, king, jack, and she finesses, and you might get your queen. You would not want to make the opening lead of a spade. Hearts do not look very exciting to lead from. You know from the 2-heart bid that 5 hearts are coming down in the dummy, and you certainly would not want to lead a heart. The last thing on this hand you want to lead is a diamond from the King X. You don't really know where the ace is. However, you know that the south hand has got big cards in the diamond suit because she did bid 3 no trump. And so that brings you down to these clubs. On this hand, you want to make what we call a passive lead. Make a lead that's not going to give the declarer something she was going to give it anyway. The spade lead will help her. The heart lead may help her. You certainly don't want to lead the diamond. You might get that king of diamonds. So the club lead, that's your lead. You have a sequence there. It's not a very good one, but you lead the 9 of clubs. Nine of clubs is led and the dummy is tabled. You now come back and you're sitting in the chair of the declarer, the south hand. South is the declarer on this hand. And you have the 9 of clubs lead. You are in a no trump contract, so remember you count your winners. So let's look at our winners. You have the king of spades and the ace of spades, that's 2. You have the ace, king, queen of hearts, that's 3 more tricks. You have the ace of diamonds, and then you have 4 clubs, ace, king, queen, jack of clubs between the 2 hands. See how effective that 9 of clubs lead was? You're not giving the declarer, by your lead of the 9 of clubs, you're not giving her any tricks that she would not get. She's got 4 club tricks, that's all she's ever getting. So she has a total of 10 tricks ready to cash. She cashed them out right now, she has 10 tricks. She's got to find 2 more tricks. She's contracted for making 12 tricks out of 13. She has 10. Okay, several ways. First of all, she can hope that the spade suit is breaking for her, cashing the ace king, either the singleton queen falls of spades, her hand, all the spades are good, or else they'll break in at least 4-2. She takes the ace king, plays her jack, knocks out the queen, and then all the rest of the spades are good. She has a possibility of the heart suit breaking 3-3, cash the ace, king, queen, and if the bonus both have 3 cards, now your little 8-7 in the dummy will be good, giving you 2 extra tricks. If she leads the queen of diamonds off the dummy and lets it ride, hoping that the king is sitting over here to her right, then that gives her 2 extra tricks. So she's got about 3 ways she can get the 2 extra tricks she needs. I think you would all, and I hope that all of you would decide that the spade is your best, the first way you want to try, the first option you want to try. So the sure tricks, you have 2 spades, 3 hearts, 1 diamond, 4 clubs, you have 10 tricks. You have a possibility if the spades break of getting 4 extra tricks there, making all 13. 2 extra ones in the heart suit, if the heart suit breaks 3-3. If the finesse, diamond finesse works, of getting 2 extra tricks there. There's no way to get any extra tricks. You got 4 heart tricks, 4 club tricks. You're not going to be able to get any more tricks in the club suit. So let's come back up to the hand. 9 of clubs. You take it with the queen or the 10 in your hand. I'd take it with the queen, kind of disguise where the 10 is. It doesn't matter. You're getting 4 club tricks. That's all you're ever getting. You want to play the queen of clubs. That is a declare unblocking play. You play the honor cards from the shorthand first in case it makes a difference. In this hand, I don't think it will. And immediately lead your 2 of spades to the king. Another declare unblocking play. You need to get that king of spades out of the way. Lead a small one, the 2, play your king. Then I would come back to my hand with the queen of hearts, 3 of hearts to your queen of hearts. Again, that's another unblocking play. You need to get rid of the queen of hearts so that when you get back over to the dummy, the ace king will be ready to cash and you don't get stuck in your hand. All right. So now let's say you play the ace of spades. If the queen of spades fell, which it didn't when you played the king, you're home free. It didn't. So now you play your ace of spades. Uh-oh, you get the 5-1 break. You get the 5-1 spade break. You have to abandon spades now. That's not going to give you your extra 2 tricks. So next, you fall back, you have a second and a third chance here. You have the second, one chance would be to now go with your 5 of hearts over and play your ace, king of hearts, hoping the suit breaks 3-3, and now your 8 and 7 of hearts give you the 2 extra tricks you need. Let's say you try that. Normally, when there are 6 cards out, they're going to break 66% of the time. And I'm sorry I didn't do anything in these lessons on percentages. They're going to break 4-2. So the suit did not break. You abandon the heart suit, and now you fall back on your last chance to make this hand. You're in the dummy with the hearts. So you're strategically located. You play your queen of diamonds and you let it ride. What you're hoping is that the king of diamonds is sitting over here, and that will give you your extra 2 tricks that you needed. Notice in this hand, I've made everything go wrong that could possibly go wrong, but you didn't panic. You still gave yourself a chance to make this hand. First, you're going to try to see if the spades. If everything goes wrong on the spade suit, it's 5-1. You want to fall back and try the hearts first, because if you try the finesse and diamonds and it fails, then the guy sitting over here to your left that gets the king of diamonds, and he may have in fact the queen of spades, and he's going to cash it at that point, or he has a chance to cash it to set you. So you want to try next your hearts to see if they're breaking. If they don't break, then you fall back on the spade, on the diamonds, diamond finesse. So you give yourself as many chances as possible. I want to show you the entire hand. The entire hand, no problem, because the spades are breaking. As soon as you play the king of spades, you come back to the queen of hearts, you play the ace of spades. As soon as ace shows up with the second, so as soon as both people follow, you simply lead your jack of spades, knock out the queen, and now you have your 12 tricks. But what I wanted to show you this example, not only from the bidding, the declares, the opening person, the card she chooses to lead and why, the plan of the play by the declarer, and the opportunity was to show you, don't always give up when one plan A that fails, have a plan B. Plan B would be trying the hearts next. When they failed, you had plan C, which is the finesse. And I think when we start lessons in February, where we do the shark bridge, these are the kinds of hands that we might have where we look at them and play them trick by trick, and then look at how you can give yourself next options. So I want to conclude by telling you all what a privilege it has been to teach you for these past 53 weeks. You've all worked hard. I am seeing your improvement. I'm seeing it so much. I would just say the teacher's mighty proud of all of you. You're the dream class I've waited all my life to teach. And I have my box of Kleenex in case I cry. It's just been such a privilege to work with you. I leave you with a few words of advice. Continuing to study and work hard. The great players, the Mickstroffs, the Rodwells, the Zias, all of these great, Eddie Wall, all these great players, Doug and John, they're continually studying. You might think, well, they know 100,000 times more than I know. Why are they still working? If you want to perfect your game and get better and better, none of us are probably ever going to get to the level of these top players. That's unrealistic, but we can certainly get better. So continue working, study. Never get to the point where you think you know everything, I'm not going to study anymore. Be nice to your partner, also your opponents. Particularly be nice to your partner. If your partner does a stupid thing, don't scream at her, or frown at her, or pout, or whatever you do. The only person in the room that's on your side in a particular game is your partner. You need to be nice to your partner. On the bad hands, and you're going to have them, you're going to get the zeros. Learn what you can from those hands. Look back at them. Why? What went wrong? Was the opening lead bad? Did you play it wrong? Should you have done something else? Learn what you can and then move on. Don't let it keep eating at you. In every class I teach, I always talk about not underleading an ace at the opening lead on a suit contract. You underlead an ace, your partner hadn't bid the suit. King third comes down on the board. Guy plays the player, plays the king. And then when you try to cash your ace, the player had a singleton and trumps it. So that's why you don't want to do that. That's always really bad. What I want, parting words, is to have fun. Keep learning, keep working, but have fun. And remember, when you have a bad game, John says, try to have at least 32, try to get at least above freezing, percentage-wise. I had a 27% last week. You forget that. When you have agony, next time you might have an 80% game, which is highly unlikely. 75% is very hard, but get up to about maybe 57, 58. And if you're making between about 55 to 50, 60% on just every game you play, I think you're doing a really good job. So I do thank you with all my heart for allowing me the privilege of working with you and teaching you.